Good evening. Welcome to the Derry Town Council meeting of Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. Council Katsoukaris, please lead us in the pledge.
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Roll call. Councilor Chiricello.
Good evening.
Councilor Spencer.
Good evening.
Welcome back. Councilor Katsoukaris.
Good evening.
Councilor Flood.
Hello.
Councilor Granessi is out of town. Councilor McEachern.
Good evening.
And good evening from the chair. Take a motion to open public forum.
So moved,
moved.
Mr.
Second.
Chair.
Okay, motion by Councilor Katsoukaris, seconded by Councilor McEachern. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're
opposed?
moving right along.
All right, public forum is now open. If you wish to speak, please come up and do so. State your name and address for the record. Owen, you'll let us know if anyone's online.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Well, Mr. Chairman, hearing that Owen is not telling me anybody's online and seeing neither of the three people in the audience jumping forward, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, motion to close public hearing, second by Councilor Katsoukaris. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Consent agenda 23-113, approved minutes from October 3rd, 2023. And agenda item 23-114, accept resignation from Derry Housing and Redevelopment Authority member.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the agenda by Councilor McEachern, second by Councilor Katsoukaris. On the motion, Councilor Chiricello.
Yes.
Councilor Spencer.
Yes.
Councilor Katsoukaris.
Yes.
Councilor Flood.
Yes.
Councilor McEachern.
Yes.
The chair votes yes, 6-0 passes. Chair's report. We will invite up Karen Blanford Anderson to go over the Boston Post Kane presentation. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm Karen Blanford Anderson. I live at 12 Village Brook Lane, and I'm currently the chairperson of the Derry Heritage Commission. So tonight, after our extensive search, we have the new candidate for the Boston Post Cane in Derry, New Hampshire. Her name is Lois Palmer Ray. Just a little bit of background for everybody. The Boston Post Cane was started in 1909 by the Boston Post newspaper as a way to recognize and honor the oldest living resident of each community. Each of the canes was presented to the town. Ours is downstairs, and we present the cane to the oldest resident by giving them also a replica to keep for themselves, to which we can keep the master original cane on file here. So the Heritage Commission nominates Lois Ray. She was born on August 21st, 1926 in Mine Mill Township, New Jersey. She grew up in the surrounding area, traveling with her father, who was an artist, Russell William Palmer, on his quest to create scenery. During her 20s, she also attended Radcliffe University, where she honed her own artistic abilities and expanded her love of history. Subsequently, she embarked on a career at the prestigious New York advertising agency of Young and Rubicon. Her experience in the city undoubtedly added to her breadth of knowledge and wisdom. From 1952 to 1956, Mrs. Ray was a stewardess for American Airlines. Her time in the aviation industry, during a period where there were not a lot of flyers, she actually flew from Boston to Chicago and San Francisco and took many international trips both to Russia, Japan, Ireland, and especially China. Not only did Lois excel in various professional pursuits, but she was also an accomplished artist herself and a hostess in her own right. As a lifelong Republican, she has met 5 presidents personally, including Ronald Reagan and his wife Nancy, who she entertained in her home in Van Nuys, California. Lois and her husband, Dr. Robert W. Ray, with their son Robert, moved to Derry in 1973 and have spent the last 50 years in what we call the old Clark House, Dr. Clark's house on Chester Road, filling it with paintings by both her father, her friends, and some of her own. In light of this exceptional journey and her numerous accomplishments, the Derry Heritage Commission do nominate her for the presentation, which will take place at a later date, of the Derry, New Hampshire Boston Post cane. We kindly would like you to approve this for us, and we'll move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Well, congratulations to the new recipient, and I'm happy to make a motion to move forward with the recommendation as presented by Karen Blanford Anderson, the Chair of the Heritage Commission.
I second that motion.
Okay.
Good job, Karen.
Thank you. Council Chair
Yes.
Council Spencer.
Yes.
Council Katsoukaris.
Yes.
Council Flood.
Yes.
Council McEachern.
Yes.
I vote yes. Thank you very much for your work.
Thank you very much.
How many, Karen, how many have we done? Boston Canes,
You and
do
me
you think?
together?
I know, because I usually go to every one of them.
There's probably been 5 or 6 you and I have done together. The last Boston Post cane holder was Irene Blanchard. She
Right.
actually was she was about 103 when we presented it to her, 106 when she passed away recently.
Yep.
We had Joseph Bellata, was that his
Yeah.
name?
Baloo.
Yeah, he was wonderful too. We've had Bella Riccio, who was 100 years old, that lived at Birch Heights for a number of years. So before that, I think there were 2 or 3, but I can't remember them off the top of my head.
Oh, that's
A
beautiful.
lot of longevity in Derry.
I know.
Yeah, That's awesome.
All right,
Good job, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
It's the water.
Mr. Karen.
Thank you. Our CFO will be making a presentation at a future meeting about our quarterly financials. But after the first quarter, just briefly, there are no problematic areas. And as you all realize, with the interest rates still commanding a pretty decent return, is that we've exceeded our projections as of the end of September, which is good news. On the Central Fire Station, as we discussed some time ago, we retained the construction management service of Wendell out of New York to act sort of the general contract and more as a construction advisor. So we'll be bidding out 7 different bid packages for different disciplines. The first one for the site work went out in September. American Excavating, a Derry firm, was a low bidder, and it was under our budget, which is good news. And we currently are planning to issue the foundation package a week from tomorrow, and then the other 5 will be getting them out probably around the 1st of January. So we're hoping for a mild winter to get the site work and the foundation in this year, and if we have a difficult winter, it may be pushed off into the spring. Looking at the solar project, you may recall that Senator Shaheen was instrumental in securing a $500,000 U.S. Department of Energy grant to go along with our solar project over at the closed landfill. And it's been a really difficult time collaborating with DOE. However, we have a new representative. Mike Fowler's invested a lot of time in this project, and we're happy to let you know that the DOE has finally completed its review and awarded the grant. So what that means is that the kilowatt hour cost for that project will go from 6.8 cents to 6 cents per kilowatt hour, and that's a fixed rate for the duration of the project with no inflator. So it's going to be a really good 25-year project for us. We're now just awaiting Eversource's review of the interconnection with the grid in order to proceed. So that's a good step in the right direction. And finally, I think a lot of you probably have heard that HCA, which owns Parkland Medical Center, is actually looking to acquire Catholic Medical Center in Manchester. I sat in on a Zoom meeting with the president of Parkland, John Skevington, and our chair last week on this issue. They reached out to us, and HCA will retain a presence here. HCA owns essentially 3 hospitals currently in New Hampshire: Derry, Portsmouth, and Rochester. They're coordinating some services between Rochester and Portsmouth, and some of their higher profile, more difficult cases, they've tried to transfer. They have transferred from Derry to Portsmouth. So I think we're going to see in the future is that if any Derry residents at Parkland need some advanced care, they'll be transferring them to CMC as opposed to Portsmouth, which is great for the patient and great for the family. And we anticipate some bi-directional traffic because at times CMC is at capacity. So they move some patients down here as well. But we will not be losing their presence here, which is really good news. Again, unsure about the time, but they're looking at between 9 and 18 months before it gets final approval. That's all I had this evening.
And to that point, he did state that there'd be business as usual, and there'd be no interruption and no major changes in the services provided at all, so just want to stress that out there to, still gonna get the benefits that we have now, so.
Can I ask a quick question on that? I don't know if it was asked. So what happens, because CMC is nonprofit and HCA is for-profit, so if HCA was to take CMC, does CMC become a for-profit?
Right. HCA went through the same process when they acquired Frisbee in Rochester, which was a nonprofit hospital.
Right.
That's why the timeline is so extensive. It requires an extensive review by the AG's office, particularly the Charitable Trust Division.
Okay,
And I know in the Frisbee model, they were required to maintain a certain number of services at the Rochester facility for a certain amount of time. So where Parkland and Manchester are so close, I don't know if there'll be the same requirements, but that'll be up to the Charitable Trust Division to
I'm
determine.
just thinking about, sometimes state funding helped out some of the nonprofit hospitals. So if it becomes a for-profit, CMC won't get, some of that
Yeah.
state funding,
Right.
but anyway, interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely interesting. Anything else? Thank you. All right, new business. 23-115, Resolution 2023-074, to direct the tax collector not to execute certain tax deeds. Stacy Bellevue, our tax collector.
Our first appearance before us.
Yeah, first official appearance.
Official appearance, yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so I am here to let you know I started the deeding process in September. There are 13 properties that I am requesting deed waivers for due to various reasons, which I have provided to you. And I have worked with the homeowners various times to bring the list down. And at this point, we are not taking any properties.
Nice. Any questions for the tax collector?
I just have one quick question, if you don't mind. So I'm happy that we're able to provide a payment plan to some people that may be struggling, but, so what is the deal? So if they miss a certain amount of payments, does it change their status?
It could, yes.
Yeah.
And who determines that? Would that be you, us, or?
Yes, and I work with, with Dave and, yeah, so it
Okay.
would be us that
All right.
determine it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So continuing on with that question, as I look at the unpaid taxes versus, again, the list was from 2020. A lot of these people are significantly behind. When do the payment plans then catch up? And, are they, I mean, there's one of them here that's a trust. So, what am I looking at?
So we try to do, we try to have the prior year paid before the deeding year, and then we go a certain number of months and work with them on that, depending on the taxes that are outstanding.
What I'm looking at is 2020 would be the deeded year by law.
Yes,
But then when I look at the unpaid column, it also looks like they haven't paid 21 or 22 or
correct.
23. So there's a consistency here. So your payment plan is gonna have them just catch up on 2020,
Right.
but they're still,
And then they move forward to the other years. They continue.
I see where you're going with that, Jim. So it's like almost never ending, right?
Right.
that's my point.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
No, but we should have some further discussion later, I think, maybe.
Yeah, we
on how-
certainly have the right to bring this back up. For now, I'll take your
Okay.
for now, I'm gonna take your recommendation, obviously.
Right.
Okay,
But, I mean, I'm looking at some of the valuations here, and I'm looking at, how far behind. And I understand the economics, some people are significantly behind, but there's gotta be a plan and an end, not a continuing, we're always 4 years behind. And, because at some point, when the properties get sold, I wanna make sure we get made whole too,
right.
right?
Yep,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
If there are no other questions, I'll read the resolution. Resolution number 2023-074 to direct the tax collector not to execute certain tax deeds. Whereas Section 5.1 of the Town Charter establishes the Town Council as the legislative and governing body of the town, and whereas RSA 8076 sets forth a procedure for conveying tax deeded properties to the town, and whereas pursuant to RSA 8076-2 and 2A, the governing body may refuse to accept the deed on certain properties whenever it's in the judgment, acceptance, and ownership of those properties, whether subject the municipality to the undesirable obligations or liability risk, and whereas the town has identified properties eligible for tax deed, however, acceptance of ownership would not be in the town's best interest, now therefore be it resolved that the tax collector is hereby directed not to execute a tax deed as set forth in the attached list pursuant to RSA 8076-3. The list would be the revised list, Tina. The council may revisit the decision at any time and may later direct the tax collector to issue a deed for the property subject to this directive. The resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage, adopted October 27th, 2023.
Second.
October 17th.
October 17th. Thank you, Charlie.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor McEachran, second by Councilor Katsoukaris. On the motion, Councilor Chercello?
Yes.
Councilor Spencer?
Yes.
Councilor Katsoukaris?
Yes.
Councilor Flood?
Yes.
Councilor McEachran?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Moving along, 23-116, Resolution 2023-075 to authorize use of the Dominion ImageCast precinct electronic ballot counting devices. Town Clerk Tina Guilford presenting.
Presenting and taking notes at the same time.
No worries.
Very skilled.
I got this.
Good evening, Madam Clerk.
Good evening. All right. So the Ballot Law Commission has approved 2 machines for use in New Hampshire elections. The Voting Works system and the ImageCast system. I attended multiple testings. I have gone to numerous real-time testings here in New Hampshire because both of these machines were used either in March elections, so I went to the testing for those. I went to a May election that used them. Some of them were used in November. So I've seen all of these machines in action. Comes down to having to make a choice between the two. And for me, it came down to 2 things. One was price, because that's always a concern. And 2 was service. The ImageCast machine is serviced through LHS, which is the company that we've been using here in New Hampshire for our AccuVote system for many, many years. The AccuVote machine that we currently use will no longer be serviced after 2024. They are completely sunsetted at that point. There's no parts. The machines are falling apart. We've had them here in Derry for 20 some odd years. They've served us well. And LHS is here, they're in Salem. The town clerks here in Derry have driven our voting cards to the office where they've been programmed, and we've driven them back. So there's no chain of custody issues. Voting Works does not have a presence in New Hampshire. In fact, Voting Works is used in 6 precincts nationwide, servicing a total of 70,000 voters total. The ImageCast machine is used in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and in other states, other areas. So I really feel that for ongoing service, LHS is the way to go. The other issue that I have with the Voting Works system, it doesn't lend itself to flexibility. So not only do you need to buy machines with the Voting Works system, you also need a laptop for every polling location. We've had lots of discussion here about maybe one polling locations. In the past, we've had 2 or 3. That would mean multiple laptop purchases, and we wouldn't have the flexibility to just switch around. And it would also require the purchase of a printer for each polling location, which drives up the cost. Also, the annual maintenance costs are $300 a year with LHS, and they come here and they service them here. The same people have been servicing our machines for years. Voting Works doesn't have yet how they're going to do that, but they are $500 a year. So even their ongoing costs are more. So I know there's 2 resolutions in front of you. It's kind of a 2-part thing. One is to authorize the machine, and the other is to fund the funds to purchase. So do you have any questions?
Council Katsoukaris.
Is there, who else has these new machines, cities or towns around here?
Well, they were just approved by the Ballot Law Commission in September. I do know Exeter has already approved the LHS machine last week. Other towns are also moving forward. They cannot be used until after March 1st. So we're definitely going to have to use our AccuVotes one more time for the presidential primary.
Oh, wow. Cool. Good job.
Is there any learning curve that's going from what we have now to this new, as far on your end of things?
For our end, it's there is some minor differences. For the voter, it's going to be very seamless. They're going to put their ballot in just like they do now. The screen is a little bit bigger. The screen now is like this. It's like this now. It's also flat, so it's right on the top, just like the screen they have now. The Voting Works machine is like the size of an iPad, and it actually stands right up, which also doesn't make me very comfortable because sometimes ballots are kicked back for overvote reasons, and another resident doesn't need to see that your ballot was overvoted.
And then the voter will be able to see that it accepted it, and the ticker will show that it cast their vote.
Correct. And it's the same tapes like we have now that the machine produces. Voting Works actually, because that's why they have to have a laptop and a printer, because it actually prints out on 8.5 by 11 paper. And they have all these fancy bells and whistles about adjudicating write-ins. However, none of that is legal in New Hampshire, so.
Council Spencer, do you have something?
Makes sense.
I just had a quick question. It's more to the second thing we'll vote on, the money part. There was somewhere in kind of all the statutes and whatnot, it talked about needing to have spare device parts and spare devices and things like that. So I just didn't know if there's any pieces or parts that you know of that we should be considering in this vote for putting, if there's any extra money we need for the ordering that kind of stuff.
No, so that's the beauty of this, is that it's an all-in-one system. It will come with a new box. So our old boxes won't be used anymore, but it will come in a new box, has that same head that slides in and out. It has the same carry bags. It all comes all together. Again, Voting Works, you need the laptop, you'd need the printer, other peripheral items for the system to work.
Councilor Churchill.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm assuming this is very similar to what we have. It's an optic eye that's picking up the circle that's filled in, correct?
Yes, it's a ballot counting device.
Okay, so no plug-ins to computers or plugged into,
Nope, that's illegal.
okay, perfect. And so we all learned the lesson in Wyndham that we don't fold those ballots a certain way, so.
Well, we have to fold absentee ballots until they give us bigger envelopes, so I can't really do much about that, but.
Just don't use a used folding machine to fold
Yeah,
out
no,
some-
we fold them all by hand. We do that all correctly. Fold it on the score marks. It is what it is. These machines actually respond to a folded ballot much better, with much more accuracy than the ones we have now. Again, technology has come a long way. since the machines that, we have that were built in 1998 and 1999. So they're very accurate, and it will undergo the same testing that we have now. So we'll still have to do the same machine testing that's open to the public, that hopefully people come and watch.
And then lastly, what are we doing with the old stuff?
So the old machines, I've actually had some discussions with LHS. There are a few towns that, due to timing issues, may not be able to get funds passed in 2024, and will only be in 2025. And some of those towns were looking for additional machinery for the presidential because they wanted to ramp up from what they had. They were expecting, when I said in the past, full turnout of all our voters, that's what every city and town in the state is preparing for. We're preparing for an immense turnout in 2024.
So again,
We may
can't-
be able to, I don't know that we'll be able to sell them, but we may be able to rent them out. And then the machines will just be decommissioned because there's nobody using them anymore. And the parts.
So again, we're not using these in January.
No, we cannot. The Ballot Law Commission only approved them as of March 1st.
Okay, so that's good. And then the next big one would be in September.
Yep, so we'll be using them for the town election in March. We'll be, if you approve them, we'll be using them for the September
primary.
primary, the November general.
Yeah, okay.
Town elections, the dry run.
Right. And that's perfect because it's a smaller run.
Yeah.
I do have one question. How many machines were you getting, Tina?
8, which is what we have now.
8. So to Erin's point, if we've been using 8, have 8, is it worthwhile to buy a 9th one just in case something happens? And now would be the time to get it, and then you have a spare on hand already, right? I mean,
So the beauty of
math
LHS.
is pretty easy to do.
The beauty of LHS is that if I called them and we desperately needed another one, they would provide it. It's part of the reason why using service. Them in 2020, they brought us 2 just in case we needed them.
So you're okay not having the 9th? I mean, it's real, I mean, you're the expert, but I
I don't know that we need 9. Not at this time. I know originally we didn't buy 8. We've bought some additional ones in other years, but I don't know that we need to tie up taxpayer funds more than 8.
Right. And just for clarification, so we're getting 8, and it's
To replace it.
50,400 coming out of the ARPA fund.
Well,
No, there's no
our
tax.
town administrator can
Yeah,
discuss
there's
that.
no tax impact to this at all. That's why I'm asking if we want to buy a 9th one to have it. But if you're comfortable that they can drive them 14 miles up the road if something happens during an election, that's fine by me.
Dave, you have something to chime in?
No, I think we'll go to 8. I support Tina's recommendation. The vendor's right down the street in Salem. And if we run into a bind, they're up here in a matter of hours to help us out, so we should be good.
So in 2020, we had a machine that was sticking because of hand sanitizer. And we did take the machine out of service.
I remember
We
that.
did call LHS and let them know that we had machines out of service. And within 25 minutes, we had another machine that they brought to us that we would have been able to use if we needed to. We were able to go down to 7 and not have any issues. But, I mean, 25 minutes is a pretty good response time.
All right,
so.
no problem. If there are no other questions, I'm going to read the resolution.
No? Take it away.
Resolution number 2023-075, to authorize the use of Dominion ImageCast Precinct Electronic Ballot Counting Devices. Whereas Section 5.1 of the Town Charter designates the Town Council as the governing and legislative body of the town, and whereas the town has been utilizing electronic ballot counting devices, paren voting machines, for many years, and whereas the current voting machines are becoming obsolete and in need of replacement, and whereas the Ballot Law Commission, pursuant to RSA 65641, has evaluated the integrity of modern voting machines and voted to certify 2 new devices, and whereas Derry's town election officials have reviewed the machines and recommended 1 for use in Derry, now therefore be it resolved in council that the town council, pursuant to RSA 65640, hereby authorizes the use of the Dominion ImageCast precinct electronic ballot counting devices for all elections in Derry conducted on or after March 1st, 2024. Resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage, adopted 10/17/23.
Second.
Motion by Counsel McEachran, second by Counsel Katsouris. On the motion, Counsel Cherichello.
Yes.
Counsel Spencer.
Yes.
Counsel Flood.
Yes.
Counsel McEachran.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 6-0.
So the next resolution is just for funding. Do we need to
I'm gonna
discuss
just, yeah, so agenda item 23-116, resolution 2023-075, to authorize the use of Dominion ImageCast precinct electronic ballot cast counting devices. Is there any other questions or?
So this is using the ARPA funds. We have no tax impact. I can just read the
No, no,
resolution if you want.
everyone's good? Take it away.
Is that okay? Resolution 2023-076, transfer of funds from the Derry Recovery Expendable Trust Fund, where Section 9.7 of the Town Charter empowers the Town Council to transfer any unencumbered appropriation balance, and whereas the Town Council pursuant to Resolution 2021-25 created the Expendable Trust for Derry Recovery Plan to receive funds from the American Rescue Plan Act and disperse as necessary, and whereas the Town Council pursuant to the Resolution 2023-075 has authorized the use of Dominion ImageCast precinct ballot counting devices for elections in Derry, and whereas funds are available in the Derry Recovery Expendable Trust Fund, ARPA, to purchase the counting devices necessary to conduct elections in Derry, now therefore be it resolved in the council, the town administrator is authorized to transfer the sum of $50,400 to the Derry Recovery Expendable Trust Fund to purchase 8 Dominion ImageCast precinct ballot counting devices. Resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage, adopted 10/17/23.
Second.
Motion by Counsel McEachran, second by Counsel Katsouris. On the motion, Counsel Cherichello.
Yes.
Counsel Spencer.
Yes.
Counsel Katsouris.
Yes.
Counsel Flood.
Yes.
Counsel McEachran.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 6-0. Agenda item 23-117, resolution 2023-076, to transfer funds from the Derry Recovery Expendable Trust. Madam Clerk?
We just did it.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
That's-
I have it
yeah.
on here. Oh,
We just
No,
did it.
we just did it, honey. We're
oh,
all
I
done.
was off the page. Thank you. It's been a long night. Comments, questions?
Yeah, I got a comment. I attended the fire department's, when they had the films on all the fires that had happened in town, and there was quite a few people there, and what an outstanding job. And we're so lucky to have this fire department because they do such a great job. And looking at all those fires that, we had over the years was scary. I had been here a long time, and I remember almost every one of these fires, and they were there to take care of it, and not very many people, were injured. And they're great. Thank you.
Anything else?
If there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion adjourned. All in favor?
Aye.
We adjourned.
Oh.